Have you ever noticed how some dinners just feel off, even when the food is great and the company is right? You sit down, you try to relax, but something in the room makes people check their phones sooner, eat faster, or leave earlier than they planned. What if I told you it's probably not the conversation, not the cooking, not even the people? It's the room itself quietly working against you. Here's something most homeowners never hear clearly. The dining room doesn't just hold meals, it controls how long people want to stay in them. According to recent home design and lifestyle surveys in the US, more than 60% of people say they wish they spent more quality time at the table, yet average meal times have shortened significantly over the past decade. That gap between what we want and what actually happens often comes down to subtle environmental cues. Lighting, proportions, comfort, these things shape behavior in ways we don't consciously notice. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's start with one of the biggest mood killers hiding in plain sight, your lighting. Not just whether you have a chandelier, but how it's positioned and how it actually makes people feel when they sit down. Think about the last time you were in a restaurant that felt intimate and inviting. The lighting wasn't blasting down from above like a spotlight. It was warm, controlled, almost hugging the table. Now compare that to most dining rooms, where the chandelier is either way too high or way too bright, turning the table into a stage instead of a gathering space. Here's the question most people never ask. Is your light creating connection or is it creating exposure? Because there's a big psychological difference between those two. Research in environmental psychology shows that softer, lower lighting encourages longer conversations and increases perceived comfort. Bright overhead lighting, on the other hand, increases alertness, which sounds good, but actually makes people less likely to linger. Your brain reads it as a functional space, not a social one. And this is where the first mistake happens. Most people hang their chandelier based on what looks right from across the room, instead of how it feels when you're sitting at the table. The standard guideline designers use is about 30 to 36 inches above the table surface, but what matters more is the experience it creates. If the light is too high, it spreads out and loses that intimate focus. If it's too low, it becomes visually intrusive and distracting. The sweet spot creates a pool of light that defines the table as a separate emotional zone. But here's the part that changes everything, and almost nobody does this. Is your dining room lighting dimmable? Because if it's not, you're missing the single easiest way to control the entire mood of the room. Studies on residential lighting show that adjustable lighting significantly increases how comfortable people feel in a space over time. Bright for setup, dim for dining. It sounds simple, but it's the difference between a room that works and a room people subconsciously want to leave. Now let me ask you something that might feel a little uncomfortable. When people sit at your dining table, do they actually want to stay there? Or are they subtly shifting, crossing, and uncrossing their legs, leaning back too soon, or finding reasons to get up? Because if that's happening, the problem might not be what you think. It might be your chairs. Chair comfort is one of the most underestimated factors in dining room design, and yet it directly affects how long people remain engaged. There's data showing that physical discomfort reduces social interaction time without people even realizing why. If a chair is too hard, too shallow, too upright, or slightly awkward in proportion to the table, your body starts sending signals to disengage. You don't consciously think this chair is the problem, you just feel restless. And here's the mistake most people make. They choose dining chairs for how they look, not how they feel after 20 minutes. A chair that looks sleek and minimal in a showroom can feel rigid and unforgiving in real use. Ideally, a dining chair should have enough depth to support your thighs, a slight recline to relax your posture, and either cushioning or material that doesn't create pressure points over time. But more importantly, it should match the height of your table in a way that feels natural. This brings us to another hidden issue, proportion. Not the kind you notice immediately, but the kind your brain registers subconsciously. Standard dining tables are around 30 inches high, and chairs are typically designed with a seat height of about 18 inches. But small variations here can completely change the experience. If the table feels too high relative to the chair, people feel slightly compressed and constrained. If it's too low, the posture becomes awkward and disengaged. So here's a question to think about. When you sit at your table, do your arms rest comfortably, or do you feel like you're reaching up or hunching down without realizing it? Because that tiny mismatch is enough to disrupt the flow of a meal. And then there's spacing. something almost nobody measures, but everyone feels. The distance between chairs, the clearance around the table, the room to move without bumping into things. These are not just practical concerns, they're emotional ones. When space is too tight, people feel restricted. When it's too open, the table loses its sense of intimacy. Designers often aim for about 24 inches of width per person at the table, but the real goal is balance enough space to feel comfortable, not so much that it feels disconnected. Now here's where it gets interesting. Have you ever walked into a dining room that looked beautiful in photos but felt strangely uninviting in real life? That disconnect often comes from focusing too much on visual styling and not enough on lived experience. The room might be perfectly arranged, but if the proportions, lighting, and comfort aren't aligned, it won't function the way it's supposed to. And this leads to a bigger question that most people don't consider. Is your dining room designed for how you actually live or for how you think it's supposed to look? Because those are often two very different things. We're going to get into one of the most subtle but powerful factors next, the thing that quietly determines whether your dining room feels warm and inviting or cold and transactional. And once you see it, you'll start noticing it in every home you walk into. What is it about some dining rooms that instantly feel warm the moment you walk in, even before anyone sits down, and others that feel a little cold, no matter how nicely they're decorated? It's not the furniture. It's not the color of the walls. It's something more subtle, something most people overlook entirely. It comes down to how the room handles contrast and visual weight. And here's the question to keep in the back of your mind as we go through this. When you look at your dining room, does your eye know where to rest? Or is it constantly searching for something to settle on? Because that feeling, whether your eye can relax or not, is directly tied to how your nervous system experiences the space. Let's talk about surfaces first, because this is where things start to go wrong quietly. A dining table that is always completely full, centerpieces, runners, decorative bowls, candles, placemats layered on top of everything, might look styled, but it often kills the mood of the actual meal. Why? Because the table stops functioning as a place to gather and starts feeling like a display you're interrupting. There's a concept in design called visual breathing room, and it applies here more than almost anywhere else in the home. So here's something to try. Imagine your table with just one intentional element in the center and everything else removed. Feels almost too empty, right? That discomfort is exactly why most people overdecorate. But studies in visual psychology show that when surfaces are less crowded, people feel more at ease and conversations flow more naturally. The brain isn't working overtime processing objects. It can actually relax into the experience. Now ask yourself this. Is your table inviting people to sit or warning them not to disturb anything? And this connects to something even bigger, how your dining room handles color and tone. Many American homes lean into either very dark, heavy palettes or very bright, high contrast ones in the dining area. Both can look good in isolation, but the way they affect mood is completely different. Dark, saturated colors everywhere, on the walls, furniture, and decor, can increase the sense of visual weight, making the room feel more intense than intimate. On the other hand, overly bright, high-contrast spaces can feel energetic but not necessarily relaxing. The rooms that people tend to linger in the longest almost always strike a balance. Softer contrasts, layered neutrals, and just one or two elements that draw attention instead of everything competing at once. Here's the curiosity question. If you removed half the visual noise from your dining room, would what's left feel stronger or weaker? Because that's the paradox. Less often creates more impact. Now let's talk about something that rarely gets mentioned but has a huge effect. Sound. Have you ever been in a dining room where conversations feel slightly strained, where people talk over each other or don't quite hear clearly? That's not always about the people, it's often about acoustics. Hard surfaces like wood tables, tile floors, bare walls, and large windows reflect sound, creating a subtle echo effect that makes conversations less comfortable. Your brain has to work harder to process speech in that environment, which leads to fatigue faster than you'd expect. And when people get mentally fatigued, they disengage. Meals end sooner. The energy drops. So here's a simple question. Does your dining room absorb sound or bounce it around? Because adding something as simple as a rug under the table, fabric chairs, or even curtains can dramatically soften the room, not just visually, but emotionally. And then there's flow, the way people move in and out of the space. This is one of those invisible factors that either supports connection or quietly disrupts it. If people have to squeeze past chairs, navigate tight corners, or constantly adjust their position to let someone through, the experience becomes fragmented. Even small interruptions like that break the rhythm of a meal. Designers often talk about leaving at least 36 inches of clearance around a dining table for comfortable movement, but the deeper idea is continuity. A good dining room allows people to sit, talk, reach, and move without thinking about it. When that flow is broken, the mood never fully settles. Let me ask you this. When someone gets up from your table, does it feel seamless? Or does the entire table subtly shift and adjust to accommodate it? Now here's where everything comes together into one idea that most people don't realize is shaping their dining experience every single day. Your dining room is not just a place where meals happen. It's a space that either encourages presence or quietly encourages escape. And escape doesn't always look obvious. It looks like shorter meals. It looks like people drifting to the couch sooner. It looks like checking phones, standing up early, or not choosing the dining table at all. According to recent lifestyle data, a growing number of American households are using their dining rooms less frequently than intended, even when they value shared meals. The room exists, but it's not being used the way it could be. So the real question becomes this: is your dining room working for you, or is it subtly pushing people away? Because once you understand all of this, the solution becomes surprisingly simple. You don't need a renovation. You don't need expensive furniture. You need to adjust the elements that actually control how the room feels. Lower the light, make it dimmable. Choose chairs you can sit in for an hour without thinking about them. Clear the table so it invites use instead of admiration. Balance the visual weight so your eye can rest. Soften the acoustics so conversation flows. Open up the space so movement feels natural. And then, this is the part most people skip: live with it for a few days. Let your brain recalibrate. Because at first it might feel different, quieter, simpler, maybe even slightly empty. But give it time, and you'll start to notice something subtle but powerful. People stay longer. Conversations stretch out. The room starts doing what it was always meant to do. The dining room stops being a place you pass through and becomes a place you return to. So the next time you sit down at your table, pay attention, not to what's on it, but to how it makes you feel. Are you settling in, or are you already halfway out the door? Because the difference between those two experiences isn't random. It's designed. And now that you can see it, you can change it. Dear viewer, if you found value in this video, like it and share it with friends and family. Subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell icon so that you will be notified every time we upload a new video. Thank you for watching until the end. We will see you in our next video. Until then, stay safe and stay blessed.